Hi everybody. So I want to introduce the chakra series. I'm doing this with Craig Holliday, and we're going to go through each one of the 7 chakras in a more in-depth way than your classic color, food, and emotion association. We just dive in deeper to get a more expansive view of what the chakras really mean. I'll be releasing each video a few weeks apart. I also recommend making sure that you watch them in order so that they all tie in together. Since they're not necessarily meant to stand alone, they're meant to be one gigantic kind of weaving through of a chat. I hope you enjoy. Thank you for watching, guys. I will leave Craig's information down below as well as my own. Make sure to catch all 7 videos once they're all released, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Now we're beginning to talk about the heart chakra. I think everyone associates this with love, with heart opening, but I'd just love to know what that chakra means to you.
Yes, yes, and so that's a beautiful question, and so like last time when we spoke, we talked about the chakras manifesting on these 3 different levels, and so for the first 3 chakras, they manifest on the animal level, the human level, and the divine level. But as we move over that barrier in the solar plexus and come into the heart chakra, we start opening up to the more heavenly or divine chakra centers. And so, of course, there's going to be less animal nature in the heart or the throat or the space of the third eye. I often say there's 2 heart chakras. There's the human heart, and then there's the divine heart. The question is at what level are we accessing ourself? We'll just speak a little bit about the human heart chakra. I like to talk about its highest manifestation and its shadow and then everywhere in between. And so in its highest manifestation, you're listening to your truth, you're living as a good, healthy adult, you love yourself, you love your life, you're making decisions in alignment with that which is good. That's how the heart chakra manifests on a human level in the highest aspect. On the lowest aspect, we get into addiction, codependency, toxic relationships, being addicted to feelings and feeling states and that type of thing. Most people, the first thing they feel in their heart is pain. And the reason that is because as human beings, we tend to use our body as a dumping ground, or a storehouse of our excuse me, of our emotions, especially the emotions that we don't want to feel. And we do this silly dance, and I'll talk about it later with the throat chakra, but there's something within us, an emotion. The way the human body is designed is we feel it, and it kind of comes up out through the throat, and then it releases. It releases out of our body. And so if you look at children, if a children has a happy upbringing, if they feel sad, they cry. If they feel happy, they're super happy. Like I have this little girl in my house, and she's so ridiculously expressive. Her heart is open and her throat is open. So she says whatever she feels, she expresses whatever she's feeling in that moment, and that's healthy. When a child is allowed to do that, and that's how the body is designed, it's just, if you have emotion, it's expressed. But when a child is allowed to do that, then the heart is not a store place for old painful emotions and wounds. So the heart chakra, it's all about feeling. But the question is from a spiritual path perspective, from an evolutionary enlightenment perspective, well, how do we work with our heart? How do we open that doorway? And so if we look at the ego is basically the fight or flight response, which says, I don't want to feel things that don't feel good, and I want more of what feels good. And so I'm going to avoid pain and seek pleasure, basically. And so that's like egoic human conditioning. That's a psychological program that we all have. And we can relate to our heart from ego, which is, basically, says something like, I want to continually fall in love with someone, the knight in shining armor, or, always have the brand new sports car, or just chase desire. and I don't want to feel anything painful. And so we do all these strange coping mechanisms, and things get really weird. And so if we look at what the true heart is, the true heart, it's open, it's courageous, and it's willing to feel and experience anything and everything.
So, what's the best way for you personally to connect to that? Because I have this thing where, like you said, if all the conditions are good, or if there's something right at the surface that I can feel, it's easy for me to get there. But oftentimes, in your busy day to day, there's something like bothering you, or like what I call like cover emotions. And then it's like a blockage to like what's under the real feeling, right? Like you said, there's shadow sides of it. Um, you can have a feeling that you think is real, but it's really not. Like, how do you really go to the center, like core of what is actually bothering you or what is actually there? Because sometimes, unless it's, I don't know, sometimes it's harder for me to get to the real center. Do you have anything specific that you do?
Having a daily meditation practice and a yoga practice are so helpful. And the way most people, again, going back to that shadow of spirituality, the way most people practice is they sit down in meditation, they try to make their mind blank and get into a state of peace. And that's one way of practicing. That can be helpful. But a different way of practicing is, if we're, in regards to the question you just asked, is you sit down and you feel in your heart. And you notice, what is my heart feeling? And what happens with most people is right. It's exactly like what you described. We get lost in feeling. And in Zen, there's this teaching about backbone. So backbone is we have this inner strength, this inner clarity. And so clarity is so important when we are dealing with or working with emotions. The clarity, is the willingness to sit with something and to see what's actually happening. And a good metaphor I like to bring forward is, imagine being a good mother or a good father. A good father can walk into a room, good mother can walk into a room and sees the child is feeling scared or hurt, or she's crying. The good mother will pick up the child, put her in her lap, and say, "Sweetie, what's going on with you?" And so the emotion on the surface is normally, a secondary emotion or a covering emotion, or just, it's not really the truth. And so a good mother will take a deep breath and will hold the child, rub her back, say, "Sweetie, what's really wrong? What's really wrong?" And see, that's that willingness to cut through the surface emotions. It's not that we don't acknowledge them. We acknowledge the surface emotion. Like, love acknowledges everything and allows everything. So we acknowledge the surface emotion, we breathe through it, and then we ask, what's really wrong? What do you really need? What do you really need right now? And see, one of the beautiful things about having a meditation practice is meditation often brings forward a sense of clarity. We're able to see through the confusion. We're able to, learn to, work with our body and open our chakra centers and just notice, like, what am I feeling there? But also a yoga practice is great because yoga teaches us so well how to feel deeply and to be very specific about what we are feeling. You know, Sometimes in yoga they'll say, "What are you feeling in your pinky toe?" And see, when you have that razor sharp awareness, when you have your subtle energetic body awake, you know right away what you're feeling in your pinky toe. Yoga is great because it moves our body in, oftentimes strange and bizarre ways that help to, open the chakra centers and bring attention to those centers. One of the things I do, like if I'm in great pain, is oftentimes I'll do a very slow and gentle practice, a yin practice. Um, I might even lay down in like a supported Baddha Kavasana, and I hope I got that asana right, but sometimes they call it butterfly, but then laying back and have your heart open, but with a big pillow behind your back, and so the pillow goes from the base of the spine all the way to the neck, and then the kind of the head and the throat is open. And what you'll find is, it almost kind of, I call it like priming the pump. It opens the chakra center, and you feel in that center. And through the supported yogic asana, the body just begins to naturally let go. And so it's a willingness to take deep, full breaths and feel what's within you. And so that's a practice. And when you're connected with the heart, it's a willingness. Just notice, oh, my heart is tense, it's tight. I need to breathe. I need to relax. I need to just go inward. It's like when you're in your heart, when you're in your subtle energetic body, you are attuned to how you're feeling always. And I like to bring forward a sense of efficiency on the path. So if there's a little something in my heart that feels a little off, I investigate it and meet it with love right away. If you do what most people do, which is you repress that and ignore and go, scroll on Facebook or fill your head with the news or, just avoid that pain. That pain tends to build and build and build till eventually one day, we explode. And that's a common dynamic with relationship, as your partner will poke you a little bit, and then we explode and we have all this anger or sadness or fear, whatever it is, about a little something he or she said. But it's not really about the little something he or she said. They were just, whatever that is, the straw that broke the camel's back. And so it's a willingness to feel always, always, not when we're in meditation, not just when we're in yoga, but the subtle energetic body. Your heart is a feeling instrument. And so if you are in your heart, you are knowing how you're feeling, down to the microsecond.
When they say in your heart, and there's something bothering you, there's some pain in there, and like you said, those are beautiful exercises to get in there. But through my awakening, and especially recently, there's just so much that arises elsewhere. And so my question is, I know there's a teacher that told me that it's always through the heart anyway. Like the heart is the main gateway, right? And the rest is just like little hallways. So we always enter through the heart. But when you have stuff in your lower belly or in your ovaries, and would you recommend going specifically to that area, that sensation, and asking what is in there, or through the heart, or does it not matter?
When you connect with your heart, you're stepping into a space of love. It's a willingness to surrender your ego and to come into this space of love. And so we have to connect with that first. So you connect with the heart, and then from your heart, and you go into whatever it is within you, your ovaries, your belly, your lower back. But this work becomes so much more powerful when you come into your heart. You come into this space of innocence, this space of compassion and Christ consciousness. You come into this tenderness, and it's from that tenderness you meet your humanity. When pain feels embraced and when it feels safe, then it will naturally let go. But if pain doesn't feel embraced and it doesn't feel safe, it will not release from your consciousness. The human body is literally designed not to release painful emotions or experiences unless we first feel safe. You're breathing into the pain and you're saying, I love you, and it's okay. And you're holding the pain, you're sitting with the pain for as long as it takes. It may take 15 minutes, it may take 15 years. The heart's time frame is the time frame of God. It's eternal. Whereas like with our human psychology, oftentimes people will tell me, Craig, I've done the work. I did the work. I'm over it. I'm done. I was like, no, sweetie. You didn't do the work. If you do the work, there's a softness and a gentleness. And you look at your humanity with total love. You don't look at your body as a pain in the ass that's an obstacle to enlightenment. There's one more thing I wanted to speak about with the heart, and it's what I call true desire. When you look at your unique aspect of individual divinity, and you've done this inner child work, when you've uncovered the wound, and when you have this clear doorway with your heart, you don't chase after false desires anymore. But you do walk in total alignment with your true desire, your true gift. And so it's through opening the heart that you also discover your gift, your true purpose, your true meaning in life. And so all of us in our heart, we are these bright lights. But these bright lights manifest in different ways. It can be anything. Some of us are healers. Some of us have this huge motherly heart. Some of us were here to embody strength or to learn strength. And so if we look at our path, God does this funny thing. If we bring forward the spiritual path, God gives us a gift that's buried within us, and then often brings us a life that is challenging. And it's through that challenge that our gift comes forward and becomes strong and grounded here on planet Earth. And see, sometimes the challenges are really brutal, ridiculously brutal. Sometimes we were told to shut the hell up the whole time when we were a child. But our gift is that we are to sing. And so we have to go through this journey of loving ourselves enough to listen to our heart and to truly bring forward this, and to bring forward our gift despite how we've been conditioned here in this world. And this one last thing I'll say about the gift is so many people have old school spirituality in their blood, which says all desire is bad, and they ignore their gift. They say, oh, that's just the ego. And so, I work with a lot of spiritual teachers and healers who are, just beginning their work, and their heart is, telling them, I want to be a healer. I want to manifest this truth. But their spiritual superego is saying, you can't do that. It's just your big fat ego wanting to be seen or acknowledged. And so, I work with supporting them and bringing that gift forward in a healthy way. In a healthy way. Because that's what this world needs right now. This world needs us to shine our lights and to share our gifts. The world doesn't need meek spiritual people who are hiding, and not sharing their truth. I mean, look at the world right now. The people in power are, people whose hearts are covered in darkness. We need people in power whose hearts are brilliant and open and are willing, to share this beauty in the world.
Thank you. It's so beautiful for people to connect to their gift, to understand that their desire is healthy.
Yeah.
And to know as well that just because your most challenging thing, that can also be your gift. Like that whole obstacle of life, the uncovering of it can be your gift, can come through that. That's really important.
Yeah.